Hi, I'm a Forester here, and we're going to continue on with our comparison of four gentleman folders. This series of videos started when I did a review. In fact, I've done a couple of reviews of this Chris Reeve Mnandi, and this is a fantastic knife. I've come up with a 10-point rating system, and it's on an ABC scale. And when I did the rating on this Mnandi, it had got 10 out of 10 A's, and a couple of those were A pluses. So this is really as good as it gets as far as I've seen for a gentleman folder. But a couple of weeks after I got the Mnandi, I went on an FN plant tour, and I'll put a video link to that FN plant tour video below. But I just stumbled across this knife. It's a Browning made for FN. Well, actually, FN owns Browning. And I bought this knife, and this was a $7 folder, and this is a little big for a gentleman's folder, but it's a very attractive knife. And I've actually enjoyed carrying this and have carried it much more than the Mnandi. And so, the thought occurred to me, what is the difference in these two knives? And that's where I came up with the 10-point rating system. And also, is there a way to quantify the difference in these two knives to make some sense of the price difference? Because there's probably about a $370 price difference between these two knives. So I came up with a scheme of rating a series of four knives. This Browning would be on the low end of the scale, and the Mnandi would be on the high end of the scale, and then come up with two knives in the middle. One would be about a $100 knife, and one would be a $50 knife. Now we're going to review the $100 knife today, and this is a Benchmade, and it's a brand new knife that Benchmade just came out with. It's the Benchmade 235. It's a Paul Axel series that they just came out with. This was originally manufactured by Lone Wolf, and Benchmade bought Lone Wolf. And so I was excited to get one of these knives. It comes in a nice little carrying case sheath. It doesn't have a clip on it. We'll go over that later. But it's a very attractive knife. I'll just go ahead and open it and lay it out here for comparison. But it's the smallest knife of these three at least. And it's a very attractive gentleman folder. So I'm going to go over the 10 points that I want to rate, and I did the video so fast last week when I went over these two knives that I skipped some of the points, but I'm going to do a final video that sort of brings all this together, so I'll go over them then and won't overlook anything. But the first thing that attracts me to a gentleman folder is just the looks, and I think although this is a different looking knife, it's very attractive, and that was the first thing that of course attracted me to it. And as far as looks go, I would put it right in the middle between these two knives. I don't think you're going to find a knife, at least to my eye, that's more attractive than the Mnandi. And I also think this $7 Browning is very attractive. But I would put this right in the middle, and I would actually give it an A, maybe an A minus. If you remember, this one I think got an A plus. Now on materials, strangely enough, that's where this Benchmade 235 gets marked down just a little bit, and I'll go into a little bit of detail about the materials. And that's an area where if you wanted to upgrade this particular knife, you could do that with higher quality materials. Let's talk about the blade steel first, and let me see if I can get this to where the camera will focus on it. But this is, in case you can't read it, it's AUS 8A. And I think that's basically the same thing as AUS 8. But I'm not a steel expert, but as far as I can tell from reading, AUS 8 or AUS 8A is roughly equivalent to 440B. And so it's better than this steel, but not as good as the S30V, of course, on the Mnandi. So the steel that they used for the knife blade is a downgrade. They just used stainless steel for the handle material, and compared to titanium and stainless steel here. The only upgrade in materials that was used on this Benchmade is on the handle scales, and that's the carbon fiber. This is the first carbon fiber knife handle that I've ever owned, and so it's a little different getting used to it. I like the feel of it. It actually has a little bit of give, not a lot, but I was trying to think of the best way to compare that to, and this isn't a good comparison, but the only thing I can think of is it sort of has the feel of a marshmallow, but it doesn't, maybe an old marshmallow that's hardened. But I really like that. It's very attractive, and I like that handle material. But because of the materials used in the handle, metal, and the blade, I'd give this a downgrade on materials and go with a B. Now where it comes back up in on the scale is in ease of operation. And this is sort of a one-trick pony when it comes to opening and closing, but the way that you're instructed to do it, well, let me go into a little detail about this lock mechanism first. I'll get a close-up of the lock mechanism, and it's a different lock. This side just has some serrated points there that are just used for gripping. You put your thumb on this side, and you put your index finger on this side, and that's just a little button, and when you depress that button, it locks that mechanism onto the blade, and the handle swings freely. So the way that works is you hold it like this, and you can just hold it upright. I feel like a somewhat British person drinking tea and holding my little finger out there. But you just hold it up like this, you press the button, and the handle just falls down. To close it, you reverse it, swing it up. Now if this is too uppity for some people, you can do it horizontal and just swing it like that. One thing I've always noticed is that sometimes it doesn't catch, and I always test it like this just to make sure it catches. It catches most of the time, but occasionally it doesn't. But it doesn't get any easier than that, and you really don't have to think about it. It sort of reminds me of how, I don't have a balisong, but how you work a balisong. But it doesn't get any easier than that. It's a little bit different and maybe a little hard to get used to if you're used to a more traditional knife. But I like different, and I would give ease of operation, I'd give it an A. On lockup, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there, but it's rock solid on lockup. There's no give at all. In fact, there's no give with any of these knives, and all three of these knives get an A. So that's one area, lockup. In fact, that's the only A that the Browning got. Okay, fit and finish. I'm going to contradict myself here, but I'm going to give this an A on fit and finish. I've looked at it, and things like the rounding of the top of the blade, it's a little more rounded. This is not rounded at all. This is really nicely crafted. This is just the rough edges taken off. Things like the jimping on top here, it has nice jimping, but it's not nearly to the detail that the Mnandi is. The one area that I would criticize, and I've never had carbon fiber handles before, but there's a little bit of fraying, and I doubt I can get a close-up of it, but every once in a while a carbon fiber will fray, and I use another knife to just nick it off, and you know, that's only happened maybe 2 or 3 times, but that sort of surprised me that the carbon fiber would fray like that. That's the only negative thing that I can say about the fit and finish of this knife. Everything else looks to be fantastic. So I'm going to give this an A on fit and finish. The Mnandi got an A+, so here again it's right in between these two knives. Okay, on centering, let me get the box so it'll focus. Whoop, wrong side. Okay, centering, it's absolutely perfect. There's no issues there. So I'm going to give it an A. On weight, I'm going to downgrade it just a little bit on weight. because it has just the regular stainless steel handles, it does have a little bit of weight to it, and that is absolutely no problem with this knife because it is such a small knife. And while I'm saying that, I'm reminded I didn't even tell you the dimensions of the knife. I just said it was the smallest one of the bunch. But the blade is around 2.5 inches, and the overall knife length is just under 6 inches. But because it's such a small knife, weight isn't a major factor, but they could have lightened it up just a little bit, and they didn't. So I'm going to give it a B on weight. On carry system, it doesn't have a clip. The other two knives are carried with a clip, but it does have a nice little leather pouch that it rides in, and I actually, for this knife, prefer this leather pouch over a clip. So I'm going to give it an A on that. As far as a warranty goes, the Benchmade has a limited lifetime warranty. I've never used a warranty. I've never had that bad of a problem on any knife that I've owned, so I've actually never used a warranty. But I think it's on par with the Mnandi. Now, the FN did not have any warranty information whatsoever, and with a $7 knife, I doubt that you would ever send it back to be fixed. You'd probably just go get you another knife. So I give the Benchmade an A on warranty. And then on collectability, I'm going to give it an A also. The main reason why it's a new knife, we don't know how long it'll be around, but if the camera will focus on this, this is number 237 out of 1,000. And so for that reason, if no other, this might be a collectible knife that one day, you know, might be worth a little more money, or at least it'll hold its value. So there you go. I think this one got 8 A's out of 10. This one got 10 out of 10. And the FN got 1 A, and that was for lockup. Now, I'm stringing this out. I'm going to do one more video, and that's going to be of the $50 knife. We still have a slot right here for the $50 knife. So it'll be 7, 50, 100, and 375. And then I'm going to do a final video that sort of ranks all of these and tries to make sense out of the value and try to come up with some lessons that I've learned out of this process and which knife maybe is the sweet spot for quality at a value price. The knife that I'll be reviewing next is this Boker. I gave you just a sneak peek of the knife in the last video. I'll go ahead and open it. It's a very attractive knife. I like the look, the shape of the blade, and the handle. I'll review this in the next video. And this will take its slot right there as the $50 knife. Y'all take care. Have a good weekend.